So, I've spent the majority of my adult life in a profession where hesitation could mean death. And while I've been fortunate enough to avoid any life-threatening perils myself, many of my fellow comrades did not fare as well. See, I was a military working dog handler in the United States Air Force. And essentially, it was my duty each day to play with dogs. It was great. However, the term play is often different for us. And it usually looks like this, or this, and even this. So, how many of you here have a dog? Had a dog? Played with a dog? You know what a dog is. I got you all. Dogs are amazing. They bring out an array of emotions in us. When you're sad, they know it. They can sense our moods. They're also really good at keeping the squirrels out of the yard, which is important because I want those acorns for myself. They can also help with getting all the stuffing out of the pillows. And more so, they know how to untie your shoes permanently. So, being a military working dog handler, specifically charged with detecting improvised explosive devices, demands a frame of mind that, amongst a few things, can withstand intense criticism, is primed for any challenge, and has the ability to quickly take in data and make decisions. This is Benny, my canine companion. Throughout the duration of our time together, he was the light of my life. He remains close to my heart even today. So, my time with Benny taught me a lot, more than just the basic fundamentals of dog training. And here, I was not ready. I truly did not anticipate just how valuable and influential that this profession would be to me outside of the uniform. And it was when my military service career ended, when I had to make the decision of leaving Benny behind, that I realized this is the choice that I had to deal with so that I could pursue a new path as a civilian. Well, Benny really never left me behind. He's given me a significant amount of life lessons that I've been able to apply in both my professional life, personal, and even academic. And there are some of those lessons that I'd like to share with you here today. And the overarching theme, the concept that I'd like for you to learn or take away from today, I learned while being a military working dog handler. So, being a dog handler, it requires us to pay attention to very minute details that other people maybe don't perceive. And understanding these little nuances in a dog's behavior can indicate something very important to us that, as handlers, we call change of behavior, or COB. See, when a dog detects an odor, such as an explosive, that handler, he needs to be aware of it. He or she needs to be aware of it before they actually locate it. The dogs are trained to give a final response at the source of the odor. And the last thing that you want is to be standing right over an explosive device. So some dogs, they get energized. Their tails and ears, they'll do weird things. And there are other subtle changes as well, such as their sniffing behavior or maybe even a posture change. These COBs can be so slight, they can easily go unnoticed, especially to the untrained eye. And this is just one example of how in sync a dog team really needs to be. So, let's put this in the context of something that we might all be familiar with. And that's patience. How many of you here have driven in Atlanta? All right. Or maybe you've just been provoked by another driver out on the road. Maybe you found yourself in the one and only checkout line at the grocery store. Now imagine the amount of patience that a dog must have as they wait all day for you to come home, just to play. Daily training is essential to maintaining a military working dog's proficiency. It's the duty and the responsibility of the handler, along with the assistance of trainers and other seasoned handlers, to hone in on these abilities and build the skill sets of the MWD and the team. And so training like this requires an immense amount of patience. Some of you might be familiar with trying to teach dogs tricks like stay or roll over, and it can be frustrating when they don't cooperate. Training is an enduring process. Sometimes it lacks motivation. Sometimes it lacks serious motivation. I found very quickly that my impatience was not welcome in the training setting. Poor attitudes can significantly diminish the quality of training. And this leaves a team unprepared and not fit for duty. Learning is difficult. The academic environment can often be a cruel and impatient animal. I found myself under immense pressure when transitioning from the military to a university setting. Sometimes things are moving too fast, and at other times too slow. So I never was a good student. In fact, I almost failed out of high school. And to me, college, it was a foregone fantasy. However, when I did find myself in the role of a student once again, it was easier than I could recall. Why? Well, that's widely because I now have the patience that it takes to learn, to be a student. And I attribute that to my time with Benny. My high school self would have never imagined graduating my undergrad with summa cum laude honors. It was unreal. So, when you find yourself getting angry at that driver, or bothered that the cashier is taking too long, or maybe for some of you, it's writing that one line of code, or creating the right cloning primers. Whatever it might be, pay attention to your COB in these situations. And so there's another kind of context that I'd like to share, and I think many of us relate to it in one way, or maybe we've experienced it to some degree in our life, and that's hesitation. So, military working dogs, they've mastered hesitation. Fear of pain or death is often an afterthought to them. And I can tell you a dozen stories about MWDs who have sidestepped hesitation to protect their handler, their partner, or those around them, and in the act of doing so, have seriously injured themselves. For instance, this is Pepper. Pepper's a Belgian Malinois who, while pursuing a hostile individual, lost a hind leg while jumping over a fence. Today, he's happy at home with his handler. He's just as loved and happy, and scary enough, he's still really fast. So we hesitate for a number of reasons. Anxiety of making a decision, protecting our ego, or just being risk averse. The capacity to not hesitate can translate into a number of scenarios. It can open the door to opportunity, and it can even serve as a force of confidence building. I've done things in my life that I never would have imagined. I was blessed with the opportunity to work at the White House, where each day I was surrounded by brilliant minds. I faced formidable and intellectual challenges. Today, I'm pursuing 2 master's degrees at this fine institution, a path I never anticipated. And you probably wouldn't believe me if I told you, but I won the local strongman contest this year. However, I might note I was in the lightweight division. At the forefront of each of these endeavors, I recognized my hesitation. I feared failure and embarrassment. I didn't have faith in myself. I didn't trust myself. I'm not as good as he is. I'm not as smart as she is. I can't do that. I'm too shy. Benny, he taught me how to trust myself because he trusted in me. Sometimes more than others. I promise I wasn't going to throw him overboard. Had I given in to even the smallest amount of doubt in my abilities, those opportunities and achievements would have never happened. So, you're all probably pretty familiar with sensing when you're experiencing an emotion, or noticing a behavior change after the fact. Maybe you have a nervous tick, or maybe your heart starts to beat faster. Perhaps it's a slight posture change. Whatever it is, the challenge here is to recognize those emotions before they set in. Alright, so I'm going to do something now. I'm going to bring one of you up to the stage, and we're going to demonstrate how to recognize your COB. Any takers? Alright. This was just a test. I'm kidding, of course. I'm not really going to bring any of you up here. However, did you notice your COB when I indicated that one of you might be brought to the stage? Maybe you were antsy or a little nervous. Maybe you were excited. The key here is to recognize these sensations in their embryonic stage. When you do, you assume control. You can take a step back, assess the situation, and then react accordingly. Reframe yourself so you're better positioned to handle the situation. So, whether you're in an interview, talking to a stranger, deciding whether or not to take that global internship position, or standing in front of an audience, understand that you are in charge of you. And, well, frankly, just stay ahead of your COB. Thank you.